Get ready to hear the truth about America on a show that's not immune to the facts with your host, Dan Bongino.
All right, this guy is just, we're at the point now where he's just straight up creepy. Creepy. What is with the whispering with Biden? What is with the whisper? It is so weird, folks. It's just weird. As producer Jim said from the radio program yesterday, he's like the Poltergeist 2 guy. He's the Reverend Kane president. If you doubt me, just go to a search engine, right, and look up Reverend Kane Poltergeist 2. I think the guy's name is Julian Beck, the actor. He's creepy. Is mommy home? He's just a weirdo. He's a super weirdo. But it's not just that he's weird. I don't want to waste your time with, he's weird. Okay, great. Everybody knows Biden's weird. I want to get to the core of what he said, because what he said, again, is just really stupid, which we'll roundly refute, so you can go and argue with your liberal friends who don't know what they're talking about. Today's show brought to you by ExpressVPN. Don't let big tech track what you do online. Get a VPN like I do. Go to expressvpn.com/Bongino today. Don't wait. Welcome to the Dan Bongino Show. Let's get right to it. I've got that. I've got the Chinese spy defector story. Remember Dong Jingwei? Story's back. We're saying we've got the spy. China's saying we got the spy. He's our spy. Really? Interesting. A photo has surfaced. More on that in a minute. Hey, I love Teeter inversion tables. I use mine twice a day. Teeter is now bringing you full body, zero impact exercise with one terrific machine I've been using 2 or 3 times a week and I love. It's called the Free Step Recumbent Cross Trainer. Fitness has always played a huge role in my life, keeps me energized, keeps everything sharp. I'd be lost without my daily routine, but I have really bad joints, so I've relied on the Free Step Recumbent Cross Trainer. Great way to burn calories. You can step up the intensity. Days you don't feel like really crushing it, you can take down the intensity. The Teeter Free Step is totally unique to anything else out there because it's really low impact. It has technology licensed from commercial PT equipment. You'll experience a smooth, linear stride. It protects your knees and your joints better than any other cardio machine. You can dial the resistance down to warm up or crank it up like I do doing Tabata stuff and really burn those calories. The Free Step has been proven to burn 17% more calories than a recumbent bike. When you exercise on the Free Step, your joints will feel great, your muscles will feel challenged, and you'll want to work out on this thing every day. I love it. I really enjoy it. My cardio has never been better. Plus, you'll get access to trainer-led workout videos on the free Teeter Move app for their personal training and motivation from the comfort of your own home. Over 3 million people put their trust in Teeter. They've been in the health and fitness industry for 40 years. So what are you waiting for? They have an exclusive offer for you. Get the Teeter Free Step Recumbent Cross Trainer today with $100 off when you go to teeter.com/Dan. The Teeter Free Step has over 1,000 reviews on Amazon with a 4.6 star rating. With this exclusive deal, you get $100 off when you go to teeter.com/Dan. Free shipping and a 60-day money-back guarantee, too, so there's no reason not to try it. Remember, you only get the Teeter Free Step Recumbent Cross Trainer and save $100 by going to teeter.com/Dan. That's teeter.com/Dan. All right, Joe, let's go.
All right.
A little delay on the bell there, and if you wouldn't mind, Joe, it is Friday, your worst 1960s game show voice. Halsey on Days of Radio. Please, welcome.
It's Friday.
Joe's a little slow on the, I know it is, a little slow on the bell, a little slow on the Friday. That's all right. That's all right. It is Friday. Joe's been putting in a hard week of work. Hey, I'm messing with you.
Blame it on the internet.
Just a programming note, my Fox show. You blame it on the rain, Milli Vanilli style. They sing better than I do, and they don't sing at all. My Saturday show, Unfiltered, 10 p.m. Saturday night, Eastern time. Joe caught that. I have 2 great guests. I've got John Ratcliffe. We're going to dig into what exactly he knew about China, and I'll ask him about the UFO question. And I got my former MMA champ, UFC champ, Matt Serra, is going to be on the show. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things. The evolution of MMA, UFC, Logan Paul stuff. It's going to be a really diverse show, and I got a killer opening monologue. He made this cool little liner. Check this thing out.
But there are instances where we don't have good explanations for some of the things that we've seen. And when that information becomes declassified, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that.
Very fancy production work by the marketing team here in Gee. Well done. Thank you very much. Nice job. All right, let's get to the media whisperer. Who's that guy, Cesar Millan? Is that his name, the dog whisperer? That's him, right? I'm not crazy. I don't know much of it. But we don't need a dog whisperer. We now have the media whisperer, which is Biden. This dude is getting creepier by the moment. Now, we all know he is clearly compromised. There's a cognitive deficit there. As I said, I did do my graduate work in psychology, but I am not evaluating him. I have no interest in doing that. And no, I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night either, where I'm trying to be a closet psychiatrist. It's just clear, based on observing his actions every day, the way he talks, the way he forgets himself, his name, where he is, what he's talking about, the way he constantly tries to cite quotes from the founding fathers and amazingly has a success record of 0 out of like 1,000 right now. He hasn't gotten one single quote right. You would think he would stop, but he doesn't. He just keeps going. We're going to water the blood of patriots with the tree of life. Dude, that's not the quote. You don't even have the order of it right. That's not please stop quoting people. Just stop. It's not working. You can water the blood of the tree with the patriots of life. That's not the quote. That you're not even close. No one's watering the blood of trees with patriot water or life trees. You just don't get the quote right. Just stop. Time out. Dial it back. But yesterday we saw a whole new level of creepy. Here's a montage put together. It's only about 20, 30 seconds. Here's Biden. I don't even know what he's doing. Whispering to everyone in like this weird, what I said yesterday on Fox, asthma. Guy says it's ASMR. I thought it was asthma. I heard about this yesterday. Someone said it to me on Twitter, where people whisper at each other or something. So I said asthma, not asthma. Someone said, oh, you're making fun of Biden for asthma. No, that's not what I was saying. But Guy says it's called ASMR, but this is really weird. And I want you to pay attention to how he wraps it up with Biden's bold solution for finding more workers in the economy. This is really bold. I wonder why we didn't think of this. Check this out.
I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential. I wrote the bill on the environment. Pay them more. This is an employees bargaining chip now. What's happening?
What is this guy doing? Everybody in the series like weirded out. It's so creepy. It's like cringe, creepy, cringeepy. I'm trying to think of new words for how awkward this is. What is wrong with this guy? The end of forget the other stupid stuff. We're going to send people checks not to work. I'll discuss that on my Fox show this weekend too. But his solution at the end, did you not laugh when you heard this? So restaurants and the service industry, literally not figuratively, cannot find employees to work. Why? Because we have paid people generous unemployment benefits in the stimulus package that equal out to more money in many cases than if they went back to work. For the liberals listening, are you following? The federal government is taking money from working taxpayers to give to people to not work. In many cases, it's more money than if they went back to work where they would be making less. So these people aren't stupid. They're rational maximizers. They're taking more money to not work. I know this is hard for the dopey libs out there who can't figure this out. If you can make more money to not do something, then why do something and exert energy to make less money? Does anyone need a break to think that through? Anyone on the show? Joe, audience on Buzzman, are we all okay? Everybody's following. I'm getting head nods everywhere. If I can thank you, thumbs up all over. If I can make more money to not work, I'm not going to work. So Biden's solution, instead of saying maybe the federal government, being that we have an economy that seems to be growing again after the coronavirus rage, maybe it'd be a good idea to not pay people not to work, to incentivize them to work, which seems like the obvious one, right? Occam's razor, keep it simple, stupid. Biden's solution is pay them more. In the creepiest whisper says, pay them more. Oh, why didn't we think of that? The restaurant should just pay them more. Problem solved, guys. Show's over. What is it? The 9:35 mark or whatever.
All right.
I don't even know if that corresponds, considering we take a minute in the beginning, but roughly pay them more. Why didn't we just think of that? Well, why can't the restaurants pay people more to come back to work? Because the restaurants don't have any money, you numbnuts. because they can't find people to work where those people can work and produce value and income for the restaurants that they could then pay people more. Is any of this hard? The restaurants are struggling right now because they can't service customers. Customers pay the restaurants. If you can't service the customer doesn't give money to the restaurant. If the customer doesn't give money to the restaurant doesn't have any money to give back to employees to come in and work. Oh my gosh. This is Biden's solution. As if a bunch of restaurant managers who are geometrically smarter on an algorithmic level of intelligence than this moron we have in the White House, Poltergeist 2 guy. He insults them by suggesting that they're stupid and they just, you can just pay them. With what money? With what money? They don't have money because they don't have employees to make money. It gets worse. Here's another cut from this disaster. By the way, please don't go anywhere. I got this Dong Jingwei spy story and another amazing piece by Lee Smith, who we tried to get on my radio show today, but we couldn't get a hold of him. The whole FBI targeting operation for Trump just came, right back to where, it's just incredible, the story Lee Smith wrote. I'm going to get to that later, too. Here's sound, audio, video, piece number 2 here, where he says something so preposterous, like no sane person should take this nonsense seriously. He says now, even though we're $20+ trillion in debt, again, the number doesn't even matter, folks, because that doesn't even count Social Security and Medicare. The number's irrelevant. We're so far in debt, we're never going to pay it off. It's the number, it's totally irrelevant. They're going to monetize the debt and take it away from your future earnings. That's just the way it is. But here he suggests ridiculously that all economists, all left, right, and center economists agree with him that the government, despite the fact that we're on a rapid path to bankruptcy, they should keep spending more. Everybody agrees with him. Check this out.
For me, investment in our physical and human infrastructure are inextricably intertwined. Both make us better off and stronger. The case for these investments is clear. Economists, left, right, and center, independent Wall Street forecasters, they all say that these kinds of public investments mean more jobs, more workers participating in the labor force, higher productivity, and higher growth for our economy over the long run.
They all say that. You heard him. You heard him say, that's an exact quote. They all say that. Economists, Wall Street, everybody agrees with him the government should spend more. That's incredible. And I did this on purpose because I went to Brookings, which is a left-leaning institution. I could have gone to any, because it just would have been easy. Any conservative think tank, Heritage, or whatever, I can show you easily that more government spending does not equal more net prosperity, that's not the way this works. Why you think the government could spend and allocate your money and capital better than you could is a sign of idiocy. Why? The government has no incentive to spend your money on you better than you could spend your own money on you. Is anyone having a hard time with that? It's a basic concept of common sense, but liberals don't seem to get it. But for the sake of argument, I went to a left-leaning institution, Brookings, where I pulled this article right here. Keep in mind, Biden said everyone agrees with him that we should be adding more government debt. Left, right, and center. Well, here's the left. They don't even agree with him. Brookings, David Wessel. How worried should you be about the federal deficit and debt? Keep in mind, this is a left-leaning institution that's been the subject of a lot of mockery on my show for other reasons. But I did this on purpose. Here's their analysis of Biden's supposed everyone agrees with him. More debt, just keep it going. Quote, big deficits mean a growing federal debt. The total the government owes is already at its highest point since World War II. Extraordinarily low interest rates allow the U.S. to shoulder a heavier debt burden, but the debt is on an unsustainable course, and its size may limit the government's ability or willingness to continue to fight the economic ill effects of the pandemic or future economic downturns. This is a left-leaning outlet saying the debt is unsustainable and we're limiting the government's ability in the future to combat future recessions by going into massive debt now. Again, I could have used any conservative think tank because they're always on the right side of it, but I know liberals listen to the show. And even for the conservatives out there who argue with your liberal friends trying to save the country, as you should, knocking on doors. I want you to understand Biden's lying, and even his point that the left, center, and the right agree with him, not even the left agrees with him. That's just not even true. He just made that up because he just lies. Reverend Kane. Reverend Poltergeist 2, Reverend Kane guy. He's lying. The dog whisperer, the media whisperer. Joe sent me this morning, producer Joe. This is interesting. This is from a month ago, but it's relevant again now because Biden is losing his grip with reality by the day. He's clearly cognitively compromised. And I said last night on Hannity in my weekly appearance on his Fox News program that this is a danger to the national security of the United States. We have a guy with his finger on the nuclear codes who does not even know where he is on any given day and can't even get a one quote right ever from the founding fathers, ever. He can't get anything right. The blood of trees and patriots will mix in the life of tree. What are you talking about? You don't even make them up right. Here's another. This is a piece from Sky News. This is an overseas media entity where the host is like, dear U.S., your president is losing his marbles. This is kind of something to worry about. You don't think people overseas are noticing this? Keep in mind, this was from a month ago. Check this out.
Putting Biden in this position of leading the world's democracies is elder abuse. His incoherence is not new, but it surely can't go on. There will have to be a presidential resignation shortly. Listen to this from only a couple of weeks ago.
The only way to spare more pain and more loss, the only way, these millstones no longer mark our national mourning. These milestones, I should say, no longer mark our national mourning.
God help me. And then this.
I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done in the United States Senate. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway.
This is the leader of the free world. How can we believe any self-respecting world leader will take this bloke seriously? Can you imagine what it's like talking to him live? One wag had it right with a meme that was posted on social media that says it all. Hey, Sleepy Joe, I think it'd be less confusing if you just turned the teleprompter around and let us read it for ourselves.
I'm not laughing. This is not funny. I just don't know what else to do. The guy, by the way, is hilarious. No, not Biden, the commentator. He's like, how does any leader around the world take this bloke? By the way, for the Australians out there, use that word. I love the word bloke. I really wish we would have invented that on this side of the pond first. Bloke. Bloke's a great word. How does anyone take this bloke seriously? I have no idea. How do you sit in a room with this guy? That's a great line, by the way. You're better off turning the teleprompter around so we can read it ourselves. It would be more legible. I mean, good catch, producer Joe. You think people aren't noticing this stuff? And by the way, these are friendlies, these commentators. Can you imagine what the Chinese and Russian foreign enemies, nuclear-powered enemies of the United States, can you imagine what they're thinking right now? Listening to this guy. The blood of leaves on the tree of patriots needs to be watered with the decanter of love from the patriots of love and trees. What the hell are you talking about? Dude, can you ever get a quote right? How hard is this? Just put it in the teleprompter. The Tree of Liberty quote. It's not hard. Man alive, as my father would say. All right, coming up next, the Dong Jingwei story is back. Hey, I don't know any other way to simplify this story. There is a major story about a Chinese spy chief who may have defected to the United States and given up the mother lode of information. The problem is, where the hell is this guy? China's saying he didn't defect, he's here. People in the U.S. are saying, no, he's here. More on that in a second. I got an update from a foreign newspaper because it's tough to get accurate information from our own Pravda here, our own U.S. media, the Pravda propaganda machine. Hey, when Simply Safe Home Security founders Chad and Eleanor Lawrence designed their first security system in their kitchen, they did it for a very personal reason. Their friends had just had their home broken into. This is something that happened to me. And candidly, it's a very horrifying experience. They were struggling to find a security system that was simple to set up and would make them feel safe again. Again, I had this happen to me. It is a devastating situation. Woke up in the morning, door to my house was open. I'm like, why did we leave the door open? We didn't. Somebody broke in. It was really awful. We were there too. Listen, making people feel safe is what Simply Safe's been doing ever since that moment 15 years ago. They have a passion to protect people. It doesn't only drive every engineering detail in its products, but it motivates every interaction with its customers. Here's the thing. Simply Safe just makes it super easy. It takes about 2 minutes to customize a system on their website. SimpliSafe.com/Dan Bongino is how you do it. SimpliSafe has highly trained security experts ready whenever you need them, whether it's during a fire, a burglary, God forbid, a medical emergency, or even just when you're setting up the system. There's always someone there who has your back and will keep you safe. They want to make sure you feel safe. You don't want to go through what we did years ago. It was terrible. To learn more about how Simply Safe can help protect you and your family, visit SimpliSafe.com/Dan Bongino today. Customize your system and get a free security camera. By the way, that's Simply with an I, SIMPLI. You also get a 60-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose. Again, go today. Don't wait. SimpliSafe.com/Dan Bongino. Go today. Thanks, Simply Safe, for sponsoring the episode. We appreciate it. Thank you for your patience. Our sponsors are here. Keep the show free to talk to you. So the Dong Jingwei story is back. I've summarized it over the last few days, and it's a very simple story. Dong Jingwei is a spy chief in China, has the motherlode of information allegedly about the origins of the coronavirus, our CIA being compromised by the Chinese Communist Party. I mean, just huge stories you'd read out of a spy novel, and you'd be like, holy Moses, this sounds really bad. It is. The problem is nobody knows if the story is true. I had Jennifer Van Laar from Red State on my radio program earlier in the week. She is one of the authors of this piece. She's alleging that her sources are she's telling us that her sources are telling her we do have this guy, which would be awesome. It would be the motherlode of intel. The problem is the Chinese government's saying, no, we have him too, but they haven't been able to produce bona fides yet. But now it appears they did. A picture has surfaced of Dong Jingwei in China, but let me get to the butt part in a minute. Well, that could be interpreted a few different ways, but you get the point. This is an article from The Sun. Secrets and Spies. Mystery as Chinese spy master Dong Jingwei reappears amid rumors he'd fled to the U.S. with Wuhan lab leak secrets. John Rogers, June 24, 2021. This article will be in my newsletter today, bongino.com/newsletter. I encourage you to read it. I have this labeled as Dong Jingwei is back. The Dong is back. Here's the first screenshot from this piece. I know. It's tough.
It is.
China's released a photo appearing to show Dong Jingwei claiming he attended the 16th meeting of the secretaries of the Security Councils of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. What the hell is that? On June 23rd. But doubts have been raised about the picture's authenticity. So here's a tweet by a guy by the name of Solomon Yu. He says, no, our DIA has Dong Jingwei in its protective custody. And he is still singing to celebrate the CCP's 100th birthday. He claims, this guy Solomon Yu in his tweet, that the picture is Photoshopped. He says that this picture of Dong Jingwei, this kind of like proof of life photo in China, which you guys don't have them, we do, is Photoshopped. Quite possible. I mean, the Chinese Communist Party, their technical capabilities are sadly almost unmatched amongst enemies of the United States. It's probably not that hard to pull out Adobe and Photoshop a photo, right? Is the picture real or not? Well, the story gets even weirder. The exact whereabouts of Dong Jingwei are still unknown. Thank you for skipping ahead. That was very smart. See, skip ahead to the next one. See, because the second screenshot I took actually says the same thing as the tweet. So thank you. The story gets even weirder. So if, as China said, here's a picture of Dong Jingwei in China this week, he's here. You guys are lying. You don't have this spy. He didn't defect. Then why did, quote from the piece, why is Chinese language news outlets, why are they reporting that Dong's photos have been removed from China's search engine, Baidu? Huh? Dong's name and any other vice minister appears to have been expunged from the Ministry of State Security's official webpage, listing the top personnel under the minister Chen Wenjing. I Folks, I'm telling you, this story fascinates me. If it fascinates you, I don't know. I love good spy stories. I grew up on James Bond. I know it's heresy, but I liked Roger Moore the best. I know that's heresy to say that. It's okay. I'm not going to lie to you. It's no worse than Guy suggesting the Ewoks weren't the worst thing ever in human history, or producer Jim suggesting Rogue One was better than Empire Strikes Back. Those are two absurdities too. I'm acknowledging the absurdity of saying Roger Moore was the best James Bond. I just grew up on him. I loved Roger Moore. I grew up on spy stories. This is a fascinating spy story. Somebody's lying. Either Dong Jingwei's in China or he's here giving up the motherload of information. The problem is, if he is in China, as this new picture with air quotes alleges he is, then why is his name and likeness being expunged from the Chinese internet? Does that make any sense? You know, the fundamental part of a good story is it never gives you easy answers, right? I mean, think about movies you really liked, right? I don't see a lot of movies anymore because usually there's an actor or actress in there I really can't stand who's a liberal lunatic. But one I caught a few years back was this movie Arrival. You ever see this movie Arrival? I forget it. The Hawkeye dude from the Avengers is in it. But it's fascinating because it makes you think. You know, it doesn't give you easy answers about things. About this, is time linear or what? It was a fascinating movie, but the most interesting part of a complicated story is it never gives easy answers. And just when you think you have an easy answer, they throw a curveball. Oh yeah, here's a picture of Dong Jingwei in China. They have him. Really? If they have him, why are they expunging his pictures from the internet search engine Baidu? Is it so people can't use image analysis to determine if Dong Jingwei's pictures are in fact authentic? I don't know. I don't know. I don't like to tell you I don't know, but I don't. But it certainly adds to the growing pile of evidence that we have the biggest motherlode of defectors in the history of humankind, Dong Jingwei, and maybe more, who are giving up information on the Chinese Communist Party. All right, let me get to the next story that's related here because the Fauci story is related because I believe if Dong Jingwei is in our possession, he's given up information on our funding of a Chinese bioweapons lab. That's what the Wuhan Institute was. The big scandal here is not, did the coronavirus leak from a lab? That's a scandal. That's not the big scandal. Everybody tracking me? The big scandal is not that it leaked from the lab. I'm almost 100% confident at this point that it did, based on the evidence. The real scandal is, did we pay for it? And is it a bioweapons lab? And was this a bioweapon? That's the scandal. And it adds to why Fauci, I believe, and others may be under investigation for their roles in funding this lab. Breitbart saw this yesterday. Wendell Husebo. Report, Fauci and Collins protested Donald Trump's order to cancel virus research money to the Wuhan lab. Folks, is there a federal investigation going on right now into the people involved with Fauci's operation and the funding of the Wuhan lab? I'm just citing reporting. The reporting seems to indicate there is, and I believe the investigation is, did we fund the Chinese bioweapons lab? From the Breitbart piece. It says, meanwhile, federal government investigators launched a probe June 15th into how the NIH, quote, manages and monitors its ongoing grant program to foreign labs such as the Wuhan Institute Fauci indirectly funded. The investigation is likely to encompass Peter Daszak, the man responsible for steering U.S. government grant money to the lab and who thanked Fauci in an April 2020 email. Is there a federal investigation going on right now? Is that federal investigation being assisted by information from Dong Jingwei? It's pretty clear there's a federal investigation going on based on the reporting and doesn't have anything to do with this. Peter Daszak, whose group EcoHealth Alliance used taxpayer money and funneled it over to the Wuhan Institute, Daszak thanked Fauci for waving off the lab leak hypothesis the day after he did in his 2020 email you can see on the screen here. Notice Guy was kind enough to highlight the reason for the redaction in the email, in Daszak's email. B7A. They redacted a whole chunk of Daszak's email. Remember, Daszak's running this group that's giving money to the bioweapons facility. Notice the exemption, B7A. What is that for? pending law enforcement proceedings, folks. Somebody is looking at this. Is there ever going to be an arrest and a prosecution? I don't know. I've lost faith in the Department of Justice a long time ago. I did. I'm just giving you the facts. It's clear as day from the exemptions and the reporting. Somebody's investigating something. Are they going to whitewash it? I don't know. But there is an investigation going on, and I think it involves this. A story I cited yesterday by Lee Brown in the New York Post about Zhu Yuzhen. Zhu Yuzhen was a Chinese military researcher working for the People's Liberation Army. Yuzhen was working with the facility Dashak's group funded, the Wuhan Institute. Why was the Chinese military working in that facility? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I believe they were building bioweapons. Look, from the New York Post piece, again, same screenshot from yesterday. Zhu Yuzhen is dead. Zhu Yuzhen was building a vaccine to this, which is the first step to building a bioweapon, and died, quote, under mysterious circumstances. Something being looked at as part of an international investigation ordered by Biden, the paper insisted. Do we have Dong Jingwei? I think we do. Is there an investigation going on into our funding of a bioweapons facility? I believe there is. Are we going to hear more about this? I don't know. I don't know. The Department of Justice has zero credibility with me right now, especially being led by a gyno, our Attorney General in name only, Merrick Garland, who has no interest in being the Attorney General at all. All right, let me get to my third sponsor. And then, I hate I don't like hyperbole because then people get disappointed if it doesn't meet. But let's just call it an extremely interesting article by Lee Smith I saw yesterday about, again, another reason nobody should trust the upper levels of the FBI right now. If you trust them, I'm really sorry. You are buying fool's gold right now. Fool's gold. Crazy revelation about the Spygate thing coming up in a second here. Hey, if you've been listening to my show for a while, you know about my Helix mattress. I love it. I have the Midnight Lux. It's like sleeping on a cloud. Helix is now making sofas as well. They have a new company called Allform. They make premium, customizable sofas and chairs shipped right to your door. Why do I like Allform? Why do I think you'll like it too? Well, it's the easiest way to customize a sofa using premium materials, but at a fraction of the cost of traditional stores. You can pick your fabric, the spill, stain, and scratch-resistant type, the sofa color, the color of the legs, the size, and the shape to make sure it's perfect for you and your home. Isabel's got one. She loves it. They've got armchairs, love seats, all the way up to an 8-seat sectional. There's something for everyone. You can always start small and buy more seats later if you want to customize it and grow. Allform sofas are delivered directly to your home with fast, free shipping. Listen, in the past, you know how it worked. You want to order a sofa, it takes weeks or months to arrive. And you need someone to come and assemble it. It was a real pain in the caboose, to be honest with you. Allform has a solution. It's simple and quick assemblies, no tools even needed. Paula put hers together for Isabel in her room. It was half an hour max. I helped a little bit at the end, just a tad bit. And if getting a sofa without trying it in a store sounds a little risky, don't worry. You get 100 days to decide if you want to keep it. That's more than 3 months. If you don't love it, they'll pick it up for free and give you a full refund. Yeah, that's right. They also have a forever warranty, meaning literally forever. No downsides here. To find your perfect sofa, check out Allform, ALLFORM.com/Dan. Allform.com/Dan. Allform is offering 20% off all orders for our listeners. Big savings. Allform.com/Dan. Go today. Check it out. Thanks, Allform. All right, this is a tough story to read because I know there's some frustration and people say, oh, I'm not interested in any of these stories anymore. Spygate, Russiagate, Collusiongate, the attacks on Trump. I'm not interested. It's time to move on. No, it's not. It's not time for me to move on. I will never move on. And I'd rather lose every listener of my show than just say, oh, I'm just going to forfeit the fight. The left spied on Trump, attacked Donald Trump, used the FBI to do. We should all forget it. We shouldn't forget it. Here's a piece you really, really should read. Because we can't say on one hand, like, oh, nothing's going to happen. And then when stories come up that are interesting, say we should ignore them. Well, that's maybe the reason nothing's ever happening because a lot of people have decided to move on. I'm not moving on. Lee Smith, Epic Times. Please read this. You can go right to the Epic Times website. You can go to my newsletter. I don't care how you do it. It doesn't matter to me. But please read it. Affidavits raise more questions about the FBI's role in the Trump probe. Let me sum this up for you quite simply. We know that FBI spied on Trump and the Trump campaign. You know the whole Spygate thing. You know the PP tape. We've heard all that. We don't need to go into that entire background. Well, the reason the FBI spied on Trump was because of this dossier information. But here's something fascinating. Because our FBI has no interest whatsoever in getting to the heart of its own malfeasance, exposing it and cleaning up, the FBI just wants to cover itself up right now. What's really interesting is the court system, not criminal court, but the civil court system, is starting to give us answers on Spygate we couldn't get from our own investigators because they don't want you to know what really happened. Well, what do I mean? Well, the authors of the dossier and their alleged sources are being sued. They're being sued by very rich people who are saying, hey, you said I did this in this anti-Trump dossier and I didn't do it. Everybody tracking? Everybody show up because I don't want anyone to be confused. Okay, everybody's tracking. So people in the dossier and companies mentioned are suing Christopher Steele saying, I didn't do this, prove it. Amazing that our criminal courts can't get to the bottom of this or FBI, but the civil courts can. So Alpha Bank is engaged in a defamation lawsuit and they're suing certain people involved with the dossier. Well, this is what's really fascinating. In this lawsuit, all this new information is coming out. Remember, the FBI saying we spied on Trump because of Christopher Steele's information. Steele's then saying, I got it from this guy, Danchenko. Watch the chain. FBI says they got it from Steele. Steele says he got it from this guy, Danchenko. Danchenko said, hey, I got it from these 5 sources. In the lawsuit, all of these sources were forced to give depositions. So what's fascinating, what their answers were. Screenshot number 1 from Lee's excellent piece. So Steele, who claims that this report and others, the dossier reports, are sourced to a Russian nationally hired Igor Danchenko, and then Danchenko in turn says the information came from a network of Russia-based sources. Simple, right? I got it from him, he got it from him, he got it from them. Well, this is interesting. The affidavits filed this week by these Russian sources were sworn by 5 Russian nationals who say Danchenko's allegations that they served as sources for Steele's reporting are false. So just to be clear, FBI were spying on Trump because of the dossier. Steele's like, I got the dossier information from Danchenko. Danchenko saying I got it from these 5 Russians. Yet when these 5 Russians are sworn to give a sworn deposition in a civil case, they're like, I didn't say any of that. That's all false. That's kind of weird. So that begs the all-important question. Well, if the information about Trump and the PP tape and colluding with the Russians didn't come from anyone, Steele said he got it from Danchenko. Danchenko said he got it from the sources, but the sources are saying, I didn't say that. Then where did it come from? Did the FBI make up this story the whole time? And was Steele just the front man for the whole thing? Story. Here's some even more intrigue here. More intrigue. I want you to pay very close attention to the date here. I'm telling you, the FBI and Fusion GPS, I believe, based on the evidence, may have been involved in a fabrication here of historic proportions. Pay attention to the date. Second screenshot from Lee Smith's excellent piece. One of the Russians who was deposed, this guy Vorontsov, it says another section from Vorontsov's affidavit may prove even more significant. He states that pay attention to the date, that during a June 2016 reception at the U.S. ambassador's residence in Moscow, he was, quote, whisked away and invited to have a discussion with the FBI about Igor Danchenko. Pay attention to the date, June of 2016. Why is that significant? So FBI says they got the information from Steele, says he got it from Danchenko. Danchenko says he got it from Vorontsov. Vorontsov says, no, he didn't. I didn't give him that information. And Vorontsov says, oh, by the way, in a sworn deposition, he swears this is true. In June of 2016, the FBI talked to me. That's fascinating because the FBI has been telling us in the public that they didn't start the investigation into Trump and the PP tape until July 31st, 2016. So how's that possible? How is it possible that the FBI is talking to one of Steele's sources if the FBI is claiming, again, they didn't even begin the investigation until July 31st and that they didn't get the information from Steele until around July 5th? How's that possible? How can you be investigating something in July while investigating it in June? How can you begin an investigation in July and conduct an investigation as part of that investigation in June? Here, screenshot 3. You doubt me? Lee ties it all together in his piece. He says the other issue, therefore, raised by Vorontsov's account is chronology. The FBI says it didn't begin its investigation until July 31st. It also claims it didn't receive the dossier until July 5th, when Steele's handler met them in London. But Vorontsov's affidavit suggests the FBI may have been active in the anti-Trump operation at least a month earlier. Well, why a month earlier? Well, because June 2016 is a key period in the dossier timeline. It's when the dossier was constructed. Fusion GPS documents and public testimony show that between October 2015 and mid-May of 2016, Fusion GPS was focused on public reports of Trump's alleged ties to organized crime figures in the Soviet states. But within a month, Fusion GPS focus changed. Folks, did the FBI and Fusion GPS make this whole story up? And then go to Christopher Steele and basically ask him to be the front man for this fake story? I mean, it's not a complicated case to understand. If I want to frame Guy for colluding with the Russians to get this job here in the Dan Bongino studios, and I don't have any evidence, but I want to frame Guy, just go to a guy by the name of Christopher Keel and say, hey, Christopher, can you do me a favor? Can you just write a dossier that Guy's colluding with the Russians? Yeah, sure, no problem. Well, why would they go to Christopher Steele to do that? Maybe because Christopher Steele was working with Glenn Simpson from Fusion GPS, and Glenn Simpson, as far back as 2007, had been writing about Soviet influence inside Washington. Wall Street Journal, 2007, Glenn R. Simpson, how lobbyists help ex-Soviets woo Washington. They had the perfect guy. What was the problem with the perfect guy's story? Glenn had been writing about Soviet lobbying and organized crime and things, but that wasn't enough of an angle for Trump. So did someone in the FBI tell them to change the angle? Don't say Trump was colluding with organized crime. Say he was colluding with the spy services instead. Sounds to me like they could have made it all up. You're still curious as to why I refuse to trust the FBI ever again until they clean house at the top of this disastrous organization right now? I'd play that Frank Fugazi cut again, but I don't want to expose you to this man's idiocy. Former assistant director of the FBI suggesting we investigate members of Congress for their politics. All right, let me play this cut on a lighter note because it's hilarious. Here is Joy Reid, again, a cut from her own show where she has a very smart man on, Christopher Rufo, an expert works at the Manhattan Institute, an expert on critical racism theory. He's been doing yeoman's work exposing this racist, destructive, basically, it's a white supremacist type ideology, critical race theory. Oh my gosh, Dan, you can't say that. No, it's true. The things white supremacists believe in, racial supremacy, judging people by the color of their skin, are the exact same things critical race theory teaches. It's a fact, okay? I'm sorry if it's uncomfortable. But here's the hilarious part. This is another cut, different one from the one we played yesterday. There are two things in this cut I want you to pay attention to. Three things. First, Joy Reid getting wrecked, which is always hilarious. She's the third dumbest person in media, the bronze medal winner in the Dopey Olympics. Second, how Rufo exposes her for playing the euphemisms game, the word dance. How liberals, whenever they realize they're caught, global warming, when the globe didn't warm, they just started calling it climate change. They just changed the names. Liberalism became progressivism when everybody started realizing how destructive liberalism is. They do this name dance. Joy Reid isn't even aware of the name dance and isn't even aware of what critical race theory is. Pay close attention to part 3, where she says, no, intersectionality and critical race theory are totally different things. And Rufo's like, no, it's the same thing. Watch this, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. Check this out.
You played my highlight reel. Give me a chance to respond.
And you
that's absolutely
stuff
wrong.
It all into critical race theory, right?
What I don't think is right is that forcing 8-year-olds in Cupertino, California to deconstruct their racial identities and then rank themselves according to power and privilege. It's intersectionality theory, which was invented by Kimberly Crenshaw.
That's intersectionality. It's a separate thing.
Which is part of critical race theory.
No, it's not, dear.
You had her on your show. You know this.
Yeah, She invented
here's
both
the bottom
things.
line, Joy.
She invented
what you've
both
done
things.
in tonight's segment is exactly what I'm fighting against. I'm fighting against the manipulation of language. I'm fighting against language.
You're fighting against wokeness, and you don't like corporate wokeness, etc. I get it.
Not at all.
So intersectionality, Joy Reid is suggesting, which is, again, another just name change euphemisms game for teaching people to be racist and judge them by their race. Joy Reid just said it. Guys, you heard it, right? It's not critical race theory. That's Joy. Joy Reid, who's too dumb on her own show to understand what critical race theory is, despite being an advocate for it. She's either too stupid or she's a liar. Folks, I literally went to my phone and I just put in a search engine, intersectionality and critical race theory. Here's a screenshot from my phone. Intersectionality, which emphasizes that race can intersect with other identities, such as gender and class, to produce complex combinations of power and disadvantage, is a key critical race theory concept. It's the first thing that comes up. This was legit from my phone. First thing, no scrolling, nothing necessary. That's a screenshot from my phone. I was downstairs getting my 14th cup of coffee for the show today. I like coffee a lot. My wife's Colombian, can't help it. And I'm listening to this cut as I sent it to them. And I know intersectionality is a component of critical theory and critical race theory. I know that because unlike Joy, I know what I'm talking about and she doesn't. She's a dunce. And I'm just laughing. And like all she had to do during a break or even him was just go to her phone and put intersectionality and critical race theory. Would have shown you that, yes, these are tied together inextricably. You can't separate them. She doesn't even know that on her own show. What a humiliating embarrassment to the left this woman is. By the way, Joy, how's that FBI investigation going into your homophobic blog? Have we gotten the white supremacist yet who wrote that? Anyone? Have we found them? Any updates on that, fellas? Joe, have you heard anything?
No.
Joe, do me a favor. I'm going to assign you responsibilities here outside of production. You're now an investigative reporter as well. I want you to stay on that story. It's going to take a lot of time. If you hear anything on the FBI investigation of Joy Reid's homophobic blog, will you please come on the show and do a reporter hit?
Yeah, I sure will. Yeah.
Yes, I will. Pay them more. Pay Joe more. I'll give him a mic tent, too. He can hold the microphone like a professional. Yeah, this is Joe Omercuz for the Dan Bongino Show. I'd like to report on the homophobic blog investigation of the FBI of Joy Reid. We have located the suspects. Shockingly, they're in Joy Reid's house. Unbelievable. There's FBI raid coming right now. That would be the greatest segment ever. So, Joe, that's his new assignment.
Thank you.
All right, let me get to my last sponsor, and then, we'll have enough time. We got to motor through a few, so including an election audit update, a case that can be taken two ways in Georgia. Is it bad? A little bit. Is it good? I don't know. Could be. I'll get to that. Hey, my final sponsor today are friends at Brickhouse Nutrition. Listen, we all know stress can have a negative impact on our health. A lot of you are stressed out right now. I understand. The world's a complicated place. Take care of your health like I do. I take Field of Greens twice a day. I'm just going to read this myself because I like Field of Greens. I don't need their copy. Really, I enjoy the product. They were my first sponsor. I said to Miles a long time ago, I said, Miles, do me a favor. He owns Brickhouse Nutrition. I said, I see a lot of these, fruit and vegetable extract products out there. I said, but they're no good. They're extract. They're not real food. I said, please just go and produce a really good one with wholesome quality fruits and vegetables and make it real food, not extract. And that's what he did. It's called Field of Greens. Field of Greens is available in lemon, lime, wild berry, and regular flavor. How do you get it? You go to brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. You'll get 15% off your first order using the promo code Dan at checkout. brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Use promo code Dan. Try it. I promise you'll love it. I take it twice a day. You take it once a day, a scoop in whatever your favorite beverage is, your protein shake. Guy's a big fan of the lemon lime flavor. The original's great. Wild berry's good too. It's all good. We all know we should be eating fruits and vegetables. Make it easy. If you don't want to prepare them, take a scoop of your fruits and vegetables. We all know it's good for our health. Everyone's told us that. Try Field of Greens today. Field of Greens, brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. One of my favorite sponsors. They've been with me from the beginning. That's a great company. And try their creatine product, Foundation, too. It's pretty good. Take the mirror test with that stuff. Just try it and then come back 7 days later. Look in the mirror. You'll be like, hey now. It's good stuff. Everybody loves that too. All right, quick. I want to go through this fast. Hey, that H.R. 1 bill, that Democrat voter suppression bill that just collapsed in the Senate, but they may bring back if they get rid of the filibuster. There's a piece of this I want you to pay close attention to that Kimberly Strassel's highlighting in the Wall Street Journal today, a devastating piece. H.R. 1 is not just a bill to crush voter ID and make it very easy to cheat in elections, which is what the Democrats want. What it will also do is it will destroy the Federal Elections Commission, which is now a bipartisan entity. There are 6 members. There are now 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans on the Federal Elections Commission, which is very powerful. They have to have 4 people agree to do anything, meaning there has to be, by its nature and its construction, a consensus, because there's 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. So you need one of the other party to do anything. This was hidden in the H.R. 1 bill. They're going to reform that if this passes. The piece is titled The Gory Details of H.R. 1. Ellen Weintraub shows the dangers of the Democratic voter reform bill. What does it do? In a quick, small nutshell, there's a partisan hack on the committee, Ellen Weintraub, a huge Democrat who hates Donald Trump. She is very eager to expand the FEC's powers to be able to investigate people for all kinds of false allegations like foreign interference. Sound familiar? But here's something interesting. Alexandra Chalupa, who's alleged to have gotten information from the Ukrainian embassy to attack Trump with during the whole collusion scandal. Well, the FEC's 2 Democrats said, yeah, we should investigate that. That sounds like foreign interference. But Weintraub, who went after Trump for foreign interference allegations, said, no, we're not going to investigate her, probably because she's a Democrat. Can't get in her head, but I'm guessing that's the reason why, because Chalupa's a Democrat, so is Weintraub. So what does that have to do with H.R. 1? Well, H.R. 1 would reconstruct the commission, would make it 5 members, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and 1, quote, independent. Who do you think that independent would be? Well, that independent, of course, would be a Democrat, which would lead to a 3-2 advantage, which would lead to insane investigations on Republicans for all kinds of nonsense related to elections, while Democrats like Chalupa and everyone get a pass. Sound like fun to you? Imagine the Mueller investigation going on permanently every time Republicans win an election. Yeah, that's in that H.R. 1 bill, that voter suppression bill by the Democrats, too. All right, I've got to this story. I'm proud of myself because we've been holding it all week. Quickly, 2 great articles in FEE, a site I really like, the Foundation for Economic Education. Brad Palumbo has a piece showing you Democrats always live in an upside-down world. Anything they tell you they're doing that will benefit the little guy, minorities, or the middle class probably means the Democrats are doing something that will attack minorities and the middle class. We're in it for public education, yet they attack school choice. We're going to attack the rich with these tax hikes. It winds up hurting the middle class. The Democrats do this all the time. One of the things they told us was really good for us was, hey, listen, these lockdowns are terrific. They're going to stop the spread of the virus and we'll be able to grow the economy later. Well, FEE did some research, Brad Palumbo, and found, quote, a new study finds that the lockdown orders didn't reduce overall mortality and may have actually increased it. In other words, if you look in the piece, the lockdowns not only didn't save lives, it actually looks like they got more people killed. Quote, the study finds that the 1-week increase in the length of stay-at-home policies corresponds with 2.7 more excess deaths per 100,000 people. Nice job, fellas. Nice job. Again, I mean, the stupidity of these people, the intellectual vacuum they live in, is so deep. It's a black hole so enormous, it sucks in intellects all over the cosmos. Even worse, from FEE, Brad Palumbo, same author, different piece. They're in my show notes this week, the newsletter, if you want to read these pieces. New Harvard data accidentally, parentheses, reveals how lockdowns crush the working class while leaving elites unscathed. So the lockdowns not only got more people killed, but buried the middle class and the poor and made the rich richer. Dan, that can't possibly be true. It's a Harvard study, folks. It's not mine. Here's the actual chart. High wage earners, their incomes went up during the lockdowns. These liberals are so stupid. Their incomes went up. Middle class workers, incomes went down 4.5%. Low wage workers, incomes went down 23.6%. But again, libs, keep telling us you're in it for the little guy. I know you claim to be the party of science and tolerance and the party of Joy Reid with the homophobic blog who doesn't even know what critical race theory and intersectionality is, couldn't even spend 2 seconds going to Google her favorite website and putting it in a search engine. She couldn't even do that. These are liberals. Let's lock it down. Well, it may get people killed. Let's do it anyway. It'll definitely help the little guy get through this. Actually, you impoverished a whole bunch of the middle class and made the rich richer. Oh, God. Sorry about that. Here's my final story, an election audit update. I've been covering this when I see news. It's a complicated story here about what's going on in Georgia. Fulton County is Georgia's largest county. It's also the home to a lot of suspicious activity in the 2020 election. So a group sued. And I've heard this story written 2 ways. Some people say, this was a huge loss for the group seeking some election audits. They sued the Fulton County Board of Elections. Well, here's a story with just the news, and I encourage you to read it. Daniel Payne, it's a good website. A huge victory? The judge, whose name is Brian Amaro, names members of the Fulton County Election Board in a lawsuit. Says ballot audit will proceed. On one hand, the downside is they did eliminate the Fulton County Board of Elections as defendants in the case. But the judge did allow the 5 members, according to the story of the Board of Elections, to be named in this lawsuit, making an audit of the Georgia election ballots appear somewhat likely at this point. We'll see what happens. I'll stay on top of it. I'm following this story. I heard a couple of people say, Dan's not talking about the audience. I am. Folks, are you listening to the show? Do people say that? I only bring up the story when there's news. What do you want me to do? Tell you, we know there's an audit going on. I get it. When there's news, we report it. What do you think? I'm covering up these audit? I'm the one calling for them. It's not happening. Not on this show. I just give you updates when there's news. Please read the story. Hey, finally, before we run for the week, listen, a big catastrophe down here in Florida with this building collapse. And I just want to salute as the heroes of the week, the men and women going in there doing this search and rescue operation. Folks, from what I'm hearing from my sources and friends on the ground, there is no guarantee that this building won't collapse further. And you have people, law enforcement, search and rescue specialists going in there now, digging their way through this rubble with zero guarantee whatsoever that the building is not going to collapse further on them, and they do it anyway. Do you have any idea the nerve it takes to do that? By far, heroes of the week, heroes of the day. I think at this point, potentially heroes of the year. Thank you for your incredible bravery and guts. Can't even imagine the heroism it takes to do that. And God rest the souls of those that may have perished. This is a really horrible story. I'm about, 100 or so miles north of there, so we see it on the local news too. It's just a devastating story. All right, folks, thanks again for another great week. I really appreciate it. Please don't miss my Fox show, again, Unfiltered. If you can't watch it live, set your DVRs. It's Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time. I've got an opening monologue. I don't want to give away too much, but I promise you'll want to listen to it. I think it'll be a game-changing, hopefully, attack on liberals and rhino Republicans who don't understand how to frame the messaging war against these anti-work, anti-dignity of work Democrats. Don't miss the show. Thanks for tuning in. See you on the radio show later.
Good day, sir.
There are instances where we don't have good explanations for some of the things that we've seen. And when that information becomes declassified, I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show.